changed. President Trump overnight saying of young people, it affects virtually nobody. Dr. Anthony Fauci today saying, just look at the numbers and decide at home for yourself, calling the numbers sobering and stunning. And tonight, 33 states with cases rising. Wisconsin now declaring a new public health emergency. And the FDA tonight, the new move in what it now likely means when it comes to a vaccine in this country near Election Day. The other major story tonight, the Supreme Court battle. Senate Republicans signaling they have the votes. President Trump set to name his pick to replace Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. What we've now learned about two more key Republican senators. The tropical storm slamming the U.S. and at this hour hovering over Houston. A flash flood warning, dangerous conditions dumping more than a foot of rain. And where this is headed next. The police body cam video made public tonight. Officers shooting a 13-year-old boy with autism, firing nearly a dozen times. His mother had called 911 asking for help, but what she warned the officers and what one officer said moments before the shooting started. Word from the Louisville mayor at this hour in the Breonna Taylor case with a state of emergency in place there. The NFL 3 head coaches and their teams fined tonight. The major rule they're accused of breaking. And remembering an American original, the singer from a legendary doo-wop group.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, and it's great to have you with us here on a very busy Tuesday night. There is news coming in on the Supreme Court battle, where things stand tonight in the Republicans' effort to replace Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. But we do begin tonight with that grim new milestone here in the U.S., more than 200,000 lives now lost to coronavirus. And tonight, amid concern as we head into the fall and head back indoors closer together, cases are now rising again in 33 states, Washington, D.C., and Puerto Rico. Deaths rising in 15 states. Tonight, so many families forever changed, just some of the faces right there, the U.S. leading the world in deaths. As the president heads to another rally tonight, he made news overnight at a rally in Ohio, saying it mostly affects the elderly with heart problems. And of young people, he says it affects virtually nobody. Tonight, Dr. Anthony Fauci responding, and right here, the families who've lost loved ones. Joe Biden acknowledging the 200,000 milestone, saying we can't let the numbers become statistics and background noise, adding it didn't have to be this bad. There's also news tonight from the FDA, the new move, and what this could now mean when it comes to a vaccine in this country and the president's push for a vaccine close to the election. So we begin here with our chief White House correspondent, Jonathan Karl, tonight.
President Trump said little to mark today's grim milestone, 200,000 Americans killed by coronavirus. But in an interview this morning, he did praise his handling of the pandemic.
We've done a tremendous job. The only thing we've done a bad job in is public relations, because we haven't been able to convince people, which is basically the fake news, what a great job we've done.
But Dr. Anthony Fauci called the death toll of 200,000 Americans sobering and stunning. Asked to assess the government's handling of the crisis, Dr. Fauci said this.
Take a look at the numbers and make up your own mind. I mean, we don't need a soundbite from me. Take a look at the numbers.
The United States has 4% of the world's population and more than 20% of the world's COVID-19 related deaths. Today, the American Medical Association, the American Hospital Association, and the American Nurses Association issued an extraordinary joint statement saying COVID-19 is, quote, affecting Americans at a rate that represents a nearly worst-case scenario. But the president is speaking as if the pandemic is a thing of the past. At his rally last night in Ohio, he said incorrectly that the virus only really affects elderly people who are already sick.
It affects elderly people with heart problems and other problems. If they have other problems, that's what it really affects, that's it.
And he said, also incorrectly, young people are basically immune.
But it affects virtually nobody. It's an amazing thing.
Dr. Fauci said today that is just not true.
Is the elderly and people at any age with underlying conditions. Right. Underlining any age. So don't just think the elderly are the problem. There are plenty of younger people who have underlying conditions that put them at risk.
Today, across the country, families are mourning loved ones gone too soon. From 9-year-old Kimora Lynham, who was supposed to start the 4th grade.
She was very talkative and just really, really happy. She made friends very easily. She was perfect.
To the youth hockey coach from Texas, 29-year-old Tyler Ambergy, a young father and husband.
He always wanted his players to be stand-up human beings on the ice and off the ice.
Joe Biden today tweeted of the 200,000 milestone, it didn't have to be this bad.
200,000 deaths recorded as of today because of the coronavirus. 200,000 deaths all across this nation. And it means there are empty chairs and dining room tables and kitchen tables that weeks and months ago were filled with a loved one, a mom, a dad, a brother, a sister. We can't let the numbers become statistics, a background noise, just a blur that we see on the nightly news.
With fall-stoking worries of a second wave combined with the flu season, Dr. Fauci is begging people to wear masks and avoid crowds.
It's unacceptable to not realize that we are entering into a risk period, and we've got to act accordingly as we enter into that risk period.
But tonight in Pennsylvania, thousands of the president's supporters are lining up outside yet another rally, most of them not wearing masks. All attending must file a disclaimer saying that they, quote, voluntarily assume all risks related to the exposure to COVID-19 and waive, release, and discharge Donald J. Trump for President, Inc. for any illness or injury.